I am going to welcome to the conversation and the screen what will be a new member of our Brain Trust, the one and only Sam Villa. How are you today, Sam? Let's get you off mute. There we go.
Tom, it's an honor and a pleasure to see you, my friend. Great to be here with you today. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
You know, I have seen your name, and I have seen the impact that you've been making out there for a long time, you know. And I was hoping to cross paths with you last April at the Beauty Changers Lives Gala, of which I understand you were the MC hostess with the most. I heard you just did an amazing job, and unfortunately I couldn't attend it because I got COVID that time. But so I didn't meet you then, but I did meet you in November at the PBA Executive Summit. And I just had this instant affinity with not only you, but your two partners. And your two partners, I think Beth and Kurt are amazing. And we just had a little bit of time in Scottsdale, not enough time, but we agreed we're going to get you on as a guest. So thanks for joining us this morning.
Pleasure. I'm very lucky to be surrounded by, on my left and on my right. They keep me in line, Tom, but most importantly, they bring to the table what I don't. And I think that's so important, to surround yourself with the people that have skills and a mindset that maybe you don't possibly have. So I'm very fortunate.
Well, you know, and in my initial impressions, this is what I told you, sort of the things that kind of jumped out just instantly, what I know about you without really having spent a bunch of time. We'll get to what you formally do in a moment here. But sort of the things was impact. You clearly seem to be a guy driven by impact. I love your trio of leaders. You also know how to be in front of a crowd. I mean, you're like a main stage, big time, you know. And then you also have innovation built into that. So, you know, I don't know if I'm on spot with some of that stuff, but that's kind of how I sort of, you know, framed our time together. So,
you know, these are skills that I never had, Tom. And I think, you know, one of the things that's so important is that experience has really taken me where I'm at today. And I'm very fortunate in that, to have the resources that have been given to me to grow throughout the years in my industry. I really believe, you know, what you put in this industry is what you're going to get back. But it's all about, you know, one thing that I think it is, it's clarity, especially in today's world, Tom, clarity. So clarity is something that comes through the process of researching, resources, education. And you know me, I'm big on education. So clarity is, once you have that clarity and that education and you're armed with all that, then you've got trust in yourself. And that's so important today. Clarity without trust, I really feel it produces fear. So trust is part of clarity, and that comes through the process of education.
you know, you've already had a light bulb moment here. That was sort of a quotable phrase, whatever you said. So I'm gonna wave the light bulb moment flag on that one. Very, very well put. You mentioned the word clarity, which is very interesting because my last guest was Edwin Neal. I don't know if you know Edwin, but he had a word for the year, and it was clarity. So maybe that's going to be the word for the year for all of us. How do you gain clarity, Sam? Like, you as an entrepreneur, as an educator, as a partner, as a passionate person, how do you get clarity?
Well, first of all, I just got to say, listen, my friend, I'm not a rock star. I'm not a genius. I'm not an inventor. I'm proud to say that I'm a hairdresser who chooses to be a teacher. So for me, the clarity comes on that whole education process, you know? So there's three things that I think about when I have people in front of me. The first, it's three, what I refer to as 3 H's, Tom. The first one is head. You know, what do I want them to know? What do I want them to get? The second H is heart. How do I want them to feel when they leave their experience with me, whether it's a simple conversation with people in front of me, or whether if it's a group of audience? How do I want them to feel? So I go after that heart part. And the last one is hand. How do you do it? You know, I want them to walk away how to do it, whether it's a motivational speech or a motivational conversation. I want them to walk away with that what, you know, that feeling and that how. So that sets up clarity for me personally as an educator.
I'm so relating with you're saying, your three C's there. Let me sort of put that in Qnity terms too, or it's three H's, excuse
Three
me.
H's, yes.
Head and heart. That's one of those things. As I was introducing you to Qnity when we spent time today, Qnity is built upon pairs and unity between the two, and certainly head and heart is one of them. You mentioned the word hand. And one of the things that we leaned into, and I don't want to make this about us at all, but I'm just inspired to say this. One of the things that I learned a long time ago is we work with tactile learners. And in an age of digital technology, there still is a place to be said for tactile learning, hence the development of all of our grid-based tools. They're all grid-based tools, but the connection to the hand and brain is incredible. But you're like an artist with your hand, and you can make the hand sing in terms of what you do.
Well, I really believe that's all about practice. That's about that going back to that experience. If you would have seen me in beauty school, Tom, oh boy, I got to tell you, I was not good. Matter of fact, the teacher came up to me and said, Sam, you know what? I hate to tell you this, but the rollers on your client are falling out underneath the dryer. You need to lift the dryer, go to your client, lift the dryer, tell her, excuse me, and apologize, place the rollers back in her hair. Let that hood dryer go back. And as I'm walking away, Tom, she goes, and Sam, you might want to think about doing something else. And here I stand before you today. So listen, my point is this: if I can do it, you can do it. I think what we need to focus on right now is focus on how you can versus why you can't. And that's for those students and those salon owners out there. You've had this whole thing of this shift, this adapt, call it whatever you want. But I think, you've got to be open. You've got to have that willingness, but it's the ability to get out there and just, do it. I guess I just want to keep it simple. Yeah, just do it. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it, but it's all about the commitment and the practice and the effort it takes to get from point A to point B.
Well, you have another H you need to add to your trio there to make a quad, and that's humility. Obviously, you've got some humility coming through in you. I mean, you're a humble and guy here, which is super cool. I think that the people around you would probably would be championing you big time. They already do. So, all right, some of the things I want to get into with you is back to the word clarity. And we have leaders on this call, and I think all leaders should connect with each other on certain practices that they have, like rituals. Do you have any rituals in terms of your day, your week, your month, your quarter, your season that help you get clarity?
That's the big R. That's called research. So there's a point in every day that I spend and I research. And it's to fill me up. And it's not necessarily hair. It could be, positivity. It could be meditation. It could be yoga. It could be, listen, if I'm not good in here, I can't do any good for anybody. So I have to be able to stand in front of people and feel comfortable inside of myself and believe what it is that I'm going to say at that moment and at that time. And that once again goes to that clarity. If I'm clear inside and I'm feeling good, it's going to come out the right way. And sometimes I look up, Tom, and I'll go, oh my gosh, I'm having a good day here. There's times I'll look in the mirror and I'll say, dude, you need to go back to bed. And there's times when I look in the mirror in the morning and say, ooh, this is going to be a good day.
Oh, I was not expecting research. I thought you were going to say, because you mentioned you're an early riser, I thought you were going to say I get up early, I journal, I do do this, and maybe you sort of take that for granted, but
that's part of the process. That's part of that process. See, the process, I get up. I mean, success is part of process. And I get this from Kurt. Kurt taught me this. Everything is a process. You go to work, that's part of that process, getting in the car and going. There's a process to everything. So, but what do you do in that process, in that journey? That's what's going to create that clarity.
Yeah. So, research, and I'm just stuck on that word a little bit because I've spent, I'm a fan of research, and when you're running a company, though, you don't always have time for research, and but I've gained such an appreciation for research in the last year as a result of this compensation project. And I've never really, the beautiful thing about the beneficiary I get as the curator and host of this is I'm the one that gets fed the most because I get to like learn directly from them. I'm really inspired by you really designating part of your time, on an ongoing basis for research, to stay on the cutting edge, to stay up to speed. And that's super
Yes.
cool.
Right. Well, you know what? It's people think, well, Sam, that's part of the creative process. No. Yeah, well, excuse me. Yes, it is. Yet I made a commitment to be a teacher, to be a resource for the industry, and part of that is I have to research and say, look, here's what I discovered. Some people say, well, Sam, you're a copycat. Hey, you call me whatever you want. Call me whatever. I call it, I get inspired by others, and I take that inspiration, I take it down, I break it down, and then I give it away because I really believe simplicity is today's brilliance. So the things that I see, I'll take them and I'll simplify them, and then I'll put them out there, and hopefully people get it. I mean, it's about minimum effort with maximum impact. And I'm talking about behind the chair. How can I create what used to take me an hour years ago, 20 years ago? How can I create that same quality in a shorter period of time? You see the cooking world do it, the way I watch the cooking channel all the time, and I learn a lot in how they present. But I really believe that we have to understand that you got to minimize your work to maximize your impact. And so it's about, I think, listening skills are probably the most invaluable thing that anybody could have as a hairdresser. The good Lord gave me 2 of these and 1 of these. As a hairdresser, I need to use this more than I use this. And when I use this, need to use it with intent and purpose. That's so, so important. So we need to learn to listen and then listen to learn. And that way we're going to maximize our learning.
I love it, man. It's awesome. Let's talk about your business ventures.
Yep.
All right. And so you are in the tool business.
Yes.
Right. And then you're also in the education. So you're really into, we're sort of similar. We're sort of in the tool and the education business too, but you're in tangible tools that individuals use for their craft. Okay. And then you're also very active educator, and you do that through a partnership with Redken. But spend a little bit of minute here, kind of letting people know what you do. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. First of all, as I said, I'm a teacher, and I am the Redken's Artistic Global Ambassador, which I do shows, educate, do various things from marketing, PR, education. Then what I wanted to do, Tom, was I needed to have an exit plan. Eventually people are going to say, well, I've seen Sam. Yeah, he's been around for a long time. I want to see somebody new. So I need to have an exit plan. My exit plan was, about the longevity of a hairdresser, because I started having elbow, wrist problems, and it's all about how we position ourselves and how we work. So I thought, well, I'll try the education DVD side back 12, 15 years ago, and the tool side. And that's basically why I started the company, was to have an exit plan, yes, but the purpose was to give the hairdresser longevity behind the chair. So all of our tools are based upon ergonomics. So I really believe education can drive sales in the tool industry. I really believe, I want people to know out there, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to retire or anything, but I just think it's all about planning, and that's one thing I've learned in what we've been through is, I learned in that whole pandemic thing that safety became the new luxury. Now it's not, it's about my obsession now is the industry progression. The industry progression is my obsession in 23. How are we going to progress? How are we going to move forward? And I think we can do that in the tool world, the tools that we're developing to make work easier for the hairdresser, to complement the hairdresser at the chair. And then the education that we're giving the hairdresser, keeping it simple, sound bites of education, and not long drawn out education. I think what people need today is they need to grow your compliments versus your comments.
You've got several light bulb moment type phrases. You said one the other day, I when we spoke, getting to know each other, prepping for this call, I said, do you compete with so-and-so? She said, you said, you're a believer that brands support brands and artists
Yes.
support artists. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of my value comes from my father. He was in the industry. I grew up in the barbershop. And by the way, I absolutely hated it. But he told me, he said, listen, if you're going to go this platform artist route, he goes, stay humble, control your ego, because ego is important, but it's how you manage it, Sam. Stay humble, and then prove to me doing that, you can make some money. So, so one of the things that he really instilled in me was this humility, this whole thing. See, I want people to know and that I stand before people motivated by the passion to teach, not to say what is right, not to say what is wrong. I want to light a fire underneath them, and I want to light a fire inside of them. So that's the standard of Sam himself, and why I choose to do what I do. I think, that money will come if you're doing things with purpose. And if you're doing things to help people. My dad always said, if you can help people get what they want, you will get what you want. So I think that, and that's one of the things that I've been trying to teach now with salon owners and with hairdressers is, I'm sorry, Tom, but I'm just going to say it is the business model, today's business model as a salon, you need to rip it up. You need to start thinking out of the box and start doing things a little bit differently. And salon owners will look at me, Tom, and they'll say, Sam, what are you talking about? Give me one example, Sam, that I need to do differently that's going to grow my business. I said, okay. Everybody's talking about creating experience. Remember this, price is what they pay, value is what they get. So ask your stylist, what value are they adding? He goes, what do you mean? I said, all right, here we go. The number one complaint is from a guest in a salon is, I can't get my hair to look like you get it to look, Sam. Okay, Louise, today we're going to take your phone, we're going to put it on my station on a little tripod, and we're going to videotape me teaching you how to blow dry your hair. We're going to create your own tutorial for you. Now, can you imagine? I got a new client. First time, I sit there, I take their phone, put it there, I videotape me, teach them how to blow dry their hair, put the iron, the brush, the product, here's the product, having them do it. Now, Tom, at the end of that appointment, I am handing their phone back to them saying, now you have your own editorial. You can take me home with you. Put me on your vanity every morning, and I'll be there to coach you how to do your hair. That, my friend, is value. Where did we ever do that 20 years ago? No, we talked about understanding that product is not an option, it's a necessity. But it's that created that experience. Listen, Disneyland, man, Disneyland, if Disneyland can do it, we can do it. But I think that you need to understand that you need to create an experience that is an escape from life, that's healing and relaxing, that's fun and lighthearted. It's the ultimate self-care, an example of that video, and making a connection and confirming that laughter, confirming a way to feel beautiful. All of those little things right there, that's an experience. That's my belief in today's world, how a stylist needs to be behind a chair. The stylist that chooses to be an educator behind the chair is the one that's going to win in the future.
Tell me more. What else about experience? You're on a roll here.
Okay, well, another one would be, retail. Everybody says, Sam, I'm throwing in the towel retail. I can't compete with these big boys anymore. Guess what? The big boys aren't going to go anywhere. Don't throw the towel in retail. It's part of your professional responsibility. It's part of that professional commitment. So you got to create it. It's Sephora. Learn from Sephora. Stop complaining about Sephora. Learn from Amazon. Stop complaining about Amazon. And you have a lot of ideas in terms of helping salons in that way. But one is, the idea of product. Stop looking what does a product do. Find non-conventional ways to use the product and share that. Example would be simply taking a lotion, coating an elastic and putting it on a ponytail. Now that lotion buffers the cuticle so you're not getting these hard lines or disrupting the cuticle. It doesn't say that on the bottle. Another hot tip would be, people go, well, Sam, I need to grow my business. I go, okay, when the color's processing for 30 minutes, what are you doing? I'll put money on it. You're in the break room. Yeah, I'm waiting for the color process. Well, what would you do, Sam? I would grab a mannequin and a tripod. I would go sit with that client and I would teach them how to do a ponytail on their daughter, and how to coat the elastic and then how to cover the hair. I teach them how to do a braid. And now that's value instead of handing them a magazine. Now there's interaction, there's connection. See, that's what we have to get these salons to do and think about in today's world. It's about that interaction, it's about that connection and adding value. Remember, price is what they pay, value is what they get. So ask yourselves, what are you adding as value?
I think we're all experiencing a little bit of the Sam magic this morning. I can't believe you said you weren't going to be on camera this morning. Can you imagine, guys, if he wasn't on camera today? I mean, your energy just comes screaming through the screen. So
Well,
this
I'm
is
trying.
awesome.
Thank you, buddy. I'm trying to hold my excitement. Sometimes you'll see my hands out of the camera, my head's over here, but thank you. I'm glad I'm on camera.
Yeah, we don't have any rules here on this session. You can do a headstand as far as we're concerned here. All right, the head, the heart, and the hand. So you know, if I look out, it's interesting that if I heard you right, you said part of the reason for you to create the tool company was to create an exit plan for you, you know, because education doesn't always really pay very well, you know.
Right.
And so you developed this business. Part of it was like literally an exit plan, like, you know, not that you're going to retire. I think what you're probably like me. I have no interest in retiring. I do have an interest in continually involve how I spend my time, how much time I spend in it, but why retire when you could do so many cool things with such a cool industry, you know, and you know, help, especially the next generation coming along here.
Yes.
What does it look like for you? You're a young guy here, and you know, you've had a few years in the industry, though. I mean, so take me out a few years. Where do we see Sam in a few years?
Still probably doing what I'm doing, but maybe maximizing it a little bit more. My focus is going to be on the youth. I really think that they are the rainbows of the future. I love what you are doing and how you're supporting schools. Huge. I just appreciate you so much. But I think schools is where we need to turn the focus. There's a disconnect between schools and salons. And what we need to understand is, how do we build that connection? How do we bring those salon owners and those schools closer together? So there's not a disconnect. It's one of my goals, is focusing on those students, the education side, et cetera, and understanding that they're the rainbows of the future. Gen Z, you heard the conversation we had in November. It was huge, but we need to stand up. We need to embrace Gen Z, and we need to listen to them. You know, as we heard, someday they're going to be running this country. Someday they're going to be making the decisions. So I think that's something that is a big focus for me, is the youth.
You know, the schools and salons working together, and your passion for the schools is just opened up a door. And I'm going to invite you. I was already going to invite you to something. Now I'm going to invite you to something else. Okay.
Okay.
And now you're in front of a bunch of people. So I would, before you say yes, you might want to check with your partners and calendar and all that stuff. But in Austin, Texas, on May 21st, I certainly would love to have you at our evening light bulb moments event. It's a second year. It's a Beauty Changes Lives fundraiser. It's an awesome property. So that's May 21st. It's an evening event, and we're going to be doing some special awards and all. I was going to invite you to that anyway. I certainly hope you can join us. But you just inspired something else here. In planning our event, which is the Monday, Tuesday event. It's called the Fill. And the idea is to fill the gaps in your business and fill your bucket by getting away from your business for a little bit. One of the things that we're going to do, and this hasn't been announced, I mean, but on the first morning, we're going to dive into the subject in front of everybody about salons and schools, how they could work together. Because, you know, I pretty much have been based working with salons and spas and haven't been involved in the school industry other than the last 3 years. But we have these two communities now, and it's always been our vision with the Phyllis to bring them together. Man, I would love to have you on a panel on that Monday morning, May 22nd, to bring in some other industry leaders and say, how can salons and schools work together from a solution standpoint?
I would be honored. I'm looking at my calendar right now. Right now, I'm on hold for an event. Let me see if we can get that event, you know, what the outcome of that is, whether it's going to be confirmed or et cetera. And then I'll have Kurt reach out to you. But I would be honored and would love to participate.
That would be great. Great. So, you know, now other things I wanted to ask you. Oh, I'm looking at the clock here. Okay, we got a few more minutes here.
Okay.
I'm always interested in how leadership teams work together. and you have Beth, Kurt, and Sam. And, you know, a lot of times I'll meet people, they'll be partners and what have you, or there'll be a company, they have layers and C-level executives, but it really was very clear to me that this is a trio here, that you guys kind of got together at the start with this tool company then, and you're like this trio of partners that work together very closely. Tell us more about that, because I think it's unique.
Yes. Well, I mean, here's my philosophy. And I think we were talking about it earlier when we were briefing for this, is my philosophy. And I do this in a photo shoot and people are like, wow, Sam, you don't have a problem with that. And that is when I get in a photo shoot, I really believe, you know, I'll put my mood board together, what I want to achieve, but then I put it out to my team and say, okay, give me some feedback on it. And it goes back to the concept that I believe 2 sets of eyes are better than one pair of eyes. 2 brains working together are better than 1. See, team to me is so critical. I grew up in a sports world and, you know, team is everything to me. You know, even though I may be on stage with another artist, I tell that artist, now we're not competing against each other. We're one voice. We're one voice. So let's complement each other with our conversation. Let's have a conversation that's going to help them grow. So Beth does what she's good at. You know, without Beth, we wouldn't be where we're at. Kurt does what he's good at. Without Kurt, we wouldn't be where we're at. And I do what I'm good at. So there's the education side and the business part of that side that they bring that I don't bring. Of course, I'll bring my part of the business, but I don't have that business knowledge per se that they do. Now, I've learned a lot over the years. So here's the point of why I'm trying to say this. Salon owners, you need to be asking your team what they need, what do they think? Get them to participate, get them to think it's their ideas. An example I used to do was we would interview someone, then they would get, as soon as they got past my manager, they came to me for one-on-one. When they got by me, they went to the team. So the team interviewed them, but the team was given certain questions that they need to ask. What I was trying to do to see, you need to see if you connect with this person. So you're going to vote whether I hire this person or not. See, so I really believe that, you know, that's what's made this company so, people think, Tom, we had this conversation the other day in our customer service, or they were saying, Sam, you know, I was on customer service talking to a client and she said, I get you all the time. And she started laughing. My customer service started laughing. People think we have a team of about 50 to 100 people when we only have 12. We only have 12. But if you can get things set up in the right way and understand what everybody brings to the table, it's amazing what can happen. And that's what's happened with the guidance of Beth, Kurt, and I. Understanding we've agreed to disagree and we move on.
Nice. You know, small teams can do some very powerful things. Instagram, I believe, when it's sold for $1 billion valuation, I think they had 17 people, you know, so, you know, you get the right people moving in the right direction that, you know, that acknowledges it takes a lot of skills to create something great and powerful, as you guys have done. So, all right, we got a few more minutes, a little bit more about Sam. So you're down in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you have a 6-year-old that no doubt you're going to gush and have great pride with. And now you lived in New York City for about 26 years.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you just had a 10-year anniversary with your wife. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And you do yoga and stuff. Tell us just a little bit, and you talked about sports. Just let us get to know Sam a little bit more for the final few minutes here.
Well, first of all, I never thought I'd be doing hair. I grew up in my dad's barbershop. I did not like it because I was there all day. I shined the shoes and swept the hair. There were some times when I watched my father standing in hair ankle deep because I couldn't sweep it because I was busy shining shoes. And I always told myself, Tom, I'll never do what dad does. But I came home one day from college. I was playing volleyball. I was very much into sports and decided I wanted to quit and go to beauty school. My mom's jaw dropped. My dad was clapping underneath the table. And they said, why? I said, you know, I'm a PE major. You know, there's no money there. I look what dad's done, how he supported us, how he moved the family from New Mexico to California. I said, I want to do that, but I want to go to cosmetology school. So off I went to cosmetology school. My education side of it, deciding that I wanted to be a teacher, was when my father took me to my first hair show, which happened to be Vidal Sassoon himself. And when I sat there and watched that show, I said, Dad, that's what I want to do. And that's when he said, look at me. If you do that, no ego, keep it in check, humble, and prove to me you can make some money. Then I went back to school. I had more intent and purpose. And every opportunity I had, I would teach. Once again, it's experience. Everything in life is all about experience. You can learn and read, but you've got to actually have the action and do it. So everything for me came experience, but I committed to that. And I followed through with that. One of the biggest achievements I've ever had is that lifetime achievement at NAHA. That was huge, Tom, because it told me, you know, accolades and awards are nice. Yeah, but what it really does, it touches you in a way that it confirms that what you're doing, what you're going out there and doing, what you're saying, people are embracing it. And that's what it means. But it's been a great journey in this industry. I love this industry. I see so many avenues in this industry. I only see it getting better. I think we have to shift our focus. There's too much focus on winning right now in today's world. I think what we need to do is just choose to play, have fun, and together we'll win.
Great closing words. Speaking of accolades, I'd like to have you watch in the mail for your $1 million light bulb.
I love it.
And we'll induct you into the Brain Trust. Let's everybody give this guy a virtual round of applause. Bravo,
Thank you,
bravo.
Tom.
Thanks for taking your special, precious time with us today. We got to have you back on as a guest. I'm going to probably re-listen to this episode myself. I'll probably block out my side because I can't stand watching myself. But great session, Sam. Hopefully those days will work in May. I think we're going to see you in April at the Beauty Changes Lives Gala. So we'll see you then. Okay. All right.
All right, Tom. Thanks so much. And to everybody out there, stay safe, stay well, continue to respect yourself and respect each other's. Take care.
Thanks much.